Hello, hello, hello out there to all of my villagers. Thank you so much for visiting me here in Trust Village. My name is Latrice Sampson Richards. I am a mental and emotional wellness creative, a licensed professional counselor, and a certified life enhancement coach. I teach Black women the skills that we need in order to heal and manifest, and I do that by sharing my journey with you in hopes that it will help you along your own. And so you are tuned in to Why I Love, where I just talk about shit that I love. So today we are talking about the Friend Zone podcast. Let me tell y'all, I freaking love the Friend Zone podcast. It's a part of Loudspeakers Network, which also houses The Read and Getting Grown. Now, The Read is like my favorite podcast. You know what I'm saying? Like, The Read is my favorite podcast. I do not miss an episode, and I'm gonna do a separate video all about why I love The Read, so y'all be on the lookout for that. But if The Read is my number one podcast, The Friend Zone is like number 1.25. Like, it's not even a full number two. I love the Friend Zone podcast as well. It's a really, really good podcast. Like, it's great. It's an awesome and amazing podcast. And so I want to talk a little bit today about why I love the show so much, because there's so many things that go into it. And also we'll be talking about why I am such a huge advocate of podcasts and listening to podcasts as a tool of self-care. All right. So let's go ahead and jump on in. So first I want to start off by talking about why I love podcasts in general and why I am a huge advocate of utilizing listening to podcasts as a form of self-care. So, I told y'all before, the Friend Zone is a part of a podcasting network called Loudspeakers Network. And some of the other shows that they have on there is shows like The Read and Getting Grown. Now, The Read, I already told y'all, I love it. Video coming soon, all of that good stuff. It's an amazing podcast. It's my favorite. I love the Friend Zone. Obviously, I'm doing a video on it, but Getting Grown is not really for me. You know what I'm saying? Now, don't get it twisted. It is a good show. Like, they have a very loyal fan base. They have, they put together a really good show. It just doesn't appeal to me. I struggle to kind of connect with it like I did with The Read and the Friend Zone and some of the other podcasts that I listen to. And that's what I love about podcasts, is that it's okay that it didn't resonate with me, because their audience is out there. They resonate with a lot of people, and I don't need to feel no kind of way about not being the person that connects with that. And they definitely don't need to feel no kind of way about not being able to connect with everybody, because there's literally a podcast for everybody. Anything that you could possibly think that you might want to be interested in, and you're just not sure, you want to explore that thing a little bit more before you just dive on in, there's a podcast for that. Any subject matter that you could want to talk about or learn about, there is a podcast for that. And that's what I love about the podcasting world in general, is because it gives a voice to people who could sometimes struggle to find their voice in the world for whatever reason it may be. And so I think exploring who you are and these parts of yourself that you've always been afraid to explore, or you felt like it wasn't, acceptable, or that's not the cool thing to do, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? For all of the reasons that we don't explore the different parts of who we are, listening to these podcasts and hearing and recognizing that there are people who get you, who understand you, who, can empathize with you on a much deeper level, it helps you to feel, validated. Because at the end of the day, yes, personal validation is, top. We always want to be striving for personal and, like our own, being able to validate ourselves. But it is a natural human instinct to want to feel like we are a part of something that's bigger than ourselves. This is innate. Just the fact that you are a human being, somewhere in you is this need to belong. It is a basic need to belong. And you don't need to be ashamed of that. You don't need to feel no kind of way about that. Like people always saying, and just it's like this thing in the community where you're supposed to be proud of being by your damn self and not being able to trust nobody, and just feeling like a loner, and I'm all I need, I don't need nobody, and fuck the world, and this, that, and the other. That's bullshit, and it goes against human nature. Point blank period. We need each other. And exploring and indulging in yourself, learning about these different aspects of who you are, really being authentic and walking in your truth, that's the best way to find your people. I'm just saying. That's the best way to find the people that's going to accept you. That's the best way to find the group that you belong to. Or the multiple groups. You don't have to just belong to one group. I'm a member of like 8, 9, 10, maybe 12, 13 different groups. And it's all a part of who I am. And there's a podcast for each and every one of them. So I'm a huge advocate of utilizing podcasts as a tool for self-care and self-discovery. Let me know what podcasts y'all listening to, and what are your thoughts about utilizing podcasts as a tool for self-discovery. I think it's amazing. I have podcasts that educate me on how to run my business. I have podcasts that make me laugh. I listen to podcasts that keep me educated about what's going on in the world. I have podcasts that, really feed my blackness. I have podcasts that feeds the girl in me and just that feminine, girly side of me. And I also have podcasts that, really feed the feminist that lives inside of me, that believes that I can do whatever the fuck I want to do, and can't no man tell me that I can't make it happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, because all of those things are a part of who I am. And listening to these podcasts, it helps me to connect with those different parts and to be proud of each part, because I know that it's genuine. I know that it's my truth. And that's a very, very powerful place to operate from. You should try it sometime. I'm learning and I'm loving it. So there's that. That's why I love podcasts in general. Now, the Friend Zone specifically. I started listening to the Friend Zone about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. I don't quite remember. I started off by listening to The Read, and I was listening to a friend of mine told me you should check out this podcast called The Read. So I said, okay, I'm gonna check it out, because I was just starting my own podcast. I was actually thinking about starting my own podcast, which is a thing now, Unicorns Talk Podcast. Check it out. It's available everywhere podcasts are available, except for SoundCloud, because I don't really fuck with SoundCloud like that. But everywhere else you can find my podcast. Okay, Unicorns with an S Talk Podcast. So anyway, I started listening to The Read, and they did a live show. And from the live show, Asante was the host of the live show. And he ran like their audience and stuff like that. And they were just talking about, Fran and Dustin and, Asante. And like they were just using these names very freely. And I was like, well, who are these people, So that's how I was introduced to the Friend Zone. I started listening to the Friend Zone, and I almost immediately fell in love. They were already in, like I said, I think they are now in their I think they're in their 4th or 5th season, something like that. And so I started listening like in the 3rd or 4th season, something like that. And it's like I almost immediately fell in love. They are easy to listen to. The tone and the pitch of their voices it's pleasing to the ear. And especially Fran, which y'all just give me a second. I'm gonna get to Fran, okay? Because I freaking love this woman. It's insane. But the tone and the pitch of their voices, it's 3 people that do this show, and they all talk, but they have a good cadence, they have a good rhythm, and even when they are kind of talking over each other, which they don't do often unless it's like a group chuckle, you know what I'm saying, or something like that, which I love, but they don't really step on each other. And I really like that, because in podcasting, I've tried to listen to other shows that have, multiple hosts. There's some shows that have 5 and 6 hosts, and it's very difficult when you have that many people on the microphone. It's very difficult, one, for every individual person to be heard, but then also for me to fucking hear everybody, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it turns into kind of like chaos, and my ears don't want that. I don't want to hear that. I don't like that. It's too much. It's too much for me to process. So I usually don't listen to shows with more than 2 hosts, but the Friend Zone, they do a really good job of, communicating with each other. And so it's not hard to listen to. It's actually easy to listen to, which is a whole different thing, you know what I'm saying? So it's really easy to listen to. So that's the first reason why I love the Friend Zone podcast. The second reason why I love the Friend Zone podcast is because it really speaks to what I was just talking about with podcasts in general, because each of them, Fran, Dustin, and Asante, they each represent a different subgroup or subsector of Black culture. And they show just I think, how eclectic Black people are. And I think it's important for us to see that. I think it is important for us to know that we motherfucking eclectic. Like we are eclectic. We can code switch. It was born out of a necessity. And I wish that the need for code switching wasn't a thing, but it is. And that's just the reality. But the fact that we can do this so seamlessly, the fact that we can show up and be and adapt to our communities, and also really maintain our own identity outside of that. We have the ability to not lose ourselves in a world that is consistently and constantly trying to tear us the fuck down. They are doing everything that they can to stop us. And yet, we continue to grow and thrive, and we actually drive the world. You know what I'm saying? We do that, and so that's amazing. And so I love the fact that they represent just the diversity that is Black people, and they give a voice to people who feel and have been marginalized, within the community. Like not just black people, brown people been marginalized since forever, like we get that. But even within our community, let's just be real. We have, marginalizations that exist inside of the black community. For example, black women. For example, black gay men. For example, black gays, all the kids. Black gays, period. All the kids, marginalized, and it's not okay. And we need to start addressing those things because it's going to take everybody to heal us. Nobody is outside of us. Everybody is a part of what makes us who we are as a culture, as a community, and everybody is a part of the reason why every fucking body else want to be like us. I'm just saying, So I love that they provide that perspective and that they provide that voice for the seemingly voiceless, who are very rapidly gaining our voices and using our voices whenever the fuck we feel like it. So there's that. What I also love, the third thing I suppose that I love about the Friend Zone podcast is the creativity of it. This show is so extremely creative. It's refreshing, and I enjoy it. I'm not gonna lie, I thoroughly enjoy it. It's funny, it's witty, it's rooted, it's connected, it's informed, you know what I'm saying? And it's entertaining, and I love to see that. It's very inspiring for me as a creative. I talk about the Friend Zone. This is not my first time talking about my love for the Friend Zone and for the Read, and Loudspeaker Network in general, but specifically those two shows, because they have been very instrumental in my own journey, and I appreciate that in my own journey in terms of seeing myself and identifying myself as a creative, because that has been a part of my journey. That is a part of my journey, like the realization that I am a creative and being able to really consider myself a creative and pursue a creative outlet, like my YouTube channel. So I love the creativity that they put together. Dustin does a short story. It's like a saga called This Is a Story. He started it with this new season. And I remember when he introduced it, he was saying that this was something that he had been wanting to do for so long. And, since the very beginning of the show, and finally, he got his opportunity. He decided that now is the time to make this happen. And he is freaking murdering it. And, that creativity, we see it as he digs deeper into his craft. We see him improving. This week's episode, which is Castles in the Sky, blew me away. Like, the story is getting better and better in terms of storyline, but his writing this week and the performance of his writing, because he reads the story. It's the last thing. That's how they close the show. So he reads the story, and you can tell as he gets more confident in his craft that he's exploring now. You know what I'm saying? Not now, but I'm just saying, like, he's doing this. And you can tell that as his confidence increases, the quality of what he's putting out increases, and it already started at a high quality. So it's just getting better and better and better. And this week I was absolutely blown away by not only, like I said, the storyline, but his writing, the actual words that he used, and his performance of his words. And so I love the creativity that is produced. I love that Asante colors his hair whatever fucking color he feels like doing it. I love that, Fran is very unapologetic in building her business as a creative, and she is hell-bent on doing this her way. I'm very much inspired by that. I love that each of them is creating a brand that is authentically them, and that they feel absolutely no pressure. No, well, I'm not gonna say they don't feel the pressure, but they don't give in to the pressure of conforming and trying to fit a box. Like, they are creating their own lane, and that's what I'm trying to do as well. There's a formula. They talked about this recently, and it's not just in music. There is a formula in every industry. Every industry sets a formula for success, and it's fucked up because they want us all to be exactly the same, and they don't leave any room for that creativity. And I need to be able to have that. And so when I see people like Fran and Dustin and Asante, and I see them being successful at being who the fuck they are, while also being inspirational and going for their goals, going for their dreams, I'm very, very inspired by that on a personal level. And so I really I'm modeling my career as I grow my brand and stuff. I am modeling after them, but only from the sense of being unapologetic. Like, everything that I put out, it's me. I'm not trying to be them. I'm not trying to be, no version of them. It's me. It's who I am. It's black glasses because my eyes was hurting and I had to take my contacts out. It's no makeup because I'm not doing that shit for y'all every time I want to do a video. I'm not that into makeup. Now, every now and then, I'm gonna put a little face on for y'all. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just not that girl to have full face of makeup, and y'all need to see me in my natural state. It's me. It's me doing what I love, walking in what I believe to be my purpose, and sharing my journey with y'all, and I am inspired by the Friend Zone podcast. Finally, I just want to specifically talk about Fran for just a few moments, if you will. I freaking love Fran. I was introduced to Fran through the Friend Zone podcast, but apparently Fran is a big fucking deal way before the Friend Zone, which I now know. So I was introduced to Fran through the Friend Zone, and I loved her so much that it made me want to go and just do more research and find out where she came from. And she's been a top YouTube producer for a very long time in the wellness area. So think she does the tutorials and stuff like that. Like, if you want to learn how to make a body butter, you can, fuck with Fran. It's called Hey Fran Hey on YouTube. You do yourself a favor. She's awesome and amazing. I learned about almond oil from Fran, and so now I use almond oil, little shit like that, but she actually grew a following. She has a blog, and she was on Tumblr early on. She is really one of the innovators is the word I want to use. She is really one of the innovators of social media marketing, and I think we need to really acknowledge that, because she really paved her own way in an industry that had yet to be developed. At the time that she was doing it, it was new, so new that wasn't no fucking body doing it. You know what I'm saying? And so she was one of the first to really make it something that we want to do. And so I definitely am inspired by her, because what I'm doing, my brand that I'm building, is a variation of that. It's my own take on that, on building a social media brand, and being able to get my message out there through the use of social media and other like social platforms. And she's a trailblazer when it comes to that. And so I study her, and I'm very much inspired by her when it comes to that. But then in addition to that, I really appreciate her vulnerability. I love the fact that she is so sharing and giving of who she is, but she's also very protective of her spirit. And I appreciate that, because that was a lesson. It took me a very long time to learn that. I learned that lesson before Fran, but I feel like seeing her go through it and seeing her really turn into, making it a part of her brand and a part of who she is, it was very inspiring to me, and so I love that she's authentic and she's vulnerable, and she is very unapologetic about the fact that she is a regular ass human being, and but she's every day makes a decision to be a better version of herself and to try to get closer to that version, and I appreciate that about her, because I genuinely believe that vulnerability is the key to mental and emotional success, or success across all areas of life. It all starts with vulnerability. It all comes back to authenticity. Point blank, period. It doesn't matter what you're trying to manifest. It always comes back to vulnerability and authenticity. And so I appreciate that, she is so authentic and allows herself to be so vulnerable, while also still protecting her spirit, and sharing her journey with us. And so, and I just think she's really cool. Like, I feel like she's gorgeous. I love her sense of style. She kind of does her own thing, and I love it. You know what I'm saying? Like, like one day she might feel like being real boho, the next day she might want to be real hood, the next day she might want to be real girly, and all of those parts are parts of who she is, and it's all authentic. And I love that we have that example, because I think a lot of times we feel like we have to fit a certain mold in order to be a certain kind of way, but the reality is that it's a whole bunch of different people living inside of you, and that's absolutely okay. Explore all of them, talk to all of them, enjoy all of them, because they're all a part of who you are. And I love that she really embodies that, and I try to do that as well. And so I think that's it. That is why I love the friend zones. So leave a comment below and let me know if you listen to the Friend Zone podcast, and if so, why do you love it? Thank y'all so much for listening to my little rant about the Friend Zone podcast. It's a great show. Y'all should check it out. I'm going to put a link to this week's episode, the one that I just raved about, Castles in the Sky, I think it's called, down in the description box. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button. Make sure that you hit the little bell so you can get notifications of whenever the next Why I Love video comes out. I might do the read. I don't know. We'll see. It'll just be whatever the fuck I'm loving at that time. That's what we're going to talk about. Okay? All right. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. I love y'all and I appreciate y'all. And until next time, be well. Bye, y'all.